Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Bob, and on this channel we're on a journey from age 63 to 65, a retirement journey. So we got about a little less than 2 more years to get myself to 65, and we want to get there and have $500,000 in a savings portfolio to give us a comfortable and enjoyable retirement. So that's what we're discussing on this channel in general. Today we're going to look at income and expenses. We're going to break both of them down. Income, of course, will start first. Income is going to be a little easier because it's a little less variables involved there. You know, you got your fixed income and then you've got your savings. At least that's where we're at. Those are the 2 things we're going to have. 3 fixed income sources, 1 savings portfolio. We'll look at that as a whole. And then expenses, you know, those can come and go. They can change. You can pick and choose maybe what you want to spend stuff on. So those are a little bit more intricate, and we'll also break those down. These are using my real numbers. These are broke down per month. So any of the numbers you see on here are monthly expenses or monthly income sources. Even if they do get paid annually or took out annually, we are going to look at them by month. So when you get to income, we have 2 scenarios we're going to look at. The first scenario is withdrawing Social Security at age 65. The second scenario is withdrawing Social Security at age 67. Both of those we're going to want to end up getting spending income or income of $6,500 a month. And we'll look here on how this breaks down. So when you're looking down here at this pie chart real quick, we can look at this. My Social Security is going to cover about 45.6% of this $6,500. My wife's will cover about 23.6%, and the pension will cover about 10%. These 3 are fixed income sources. Social Security here, my wife's and myself's, will have cost of living increases attached to them, which they refer to as COLA. So as inflation increases, your Social Security checks should also increase. This pension, right now I'm looking at that as a static number. There is choices you can make there, whether you want to have COLA attached to that pension, or do you just want to take a lump sum? You can do that. Or do you just want to go with one number and take that number as a pension amount up until you pass away? If you were to take a COLA increase with this, instead of the one number, this number would go down. So as the years progress, if you live long enough, it would actually be higher than 675, but it would start out lower. Those are our fixed income sources. Our variable income source is going to be our savings portfolio. This portfolio consists of 1 IRA and 2 401ks, my wife's 401k and my 401k. That'll all be totaled out in one portfolio. So let's look at the first scenario, which is retiring at 65 and withdrawing Social Security at 65. In that scenario, my check would be about $3,000 a month. My wife's check would be about $1,550 a month. Pension would be $675. So that would give us about, let's see what that would give us. That would give us $5,177 out of that $6,500 amount. So the remaining would have to come from our savings portfolio. So we'd have to withdraw $1,323, add it to our fixed income sources, and then that would give us our $6,500 total. And again, what it amounts to is your fixed income sources would be about 80% of that $6,500. Your savings portfolio would cover the other 20% of that $6,500. So that's what we're looking at there. Again, this is off withdrawing Social Security at age 65. So that's what we're doing there. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this, but this savings portfolio is based off $400,000, not $500,000. So I gave myself a good buffer. $400,000 is a little bit less than we have now, but it's not the $500,000 we expect to have when we retire as well. So this should actually, should say that the payment will still be at $1,323, but that at $500,000, that could be like a 3% withdrawal, not a 4%. And if you can keep this withdrawal as much as or as lower than the growth, then even though you're withdrawing money, you still should keep your savings portfolio even or increase it as time goes by. So here on the other side, you've got retiring at 65, withdrawing Social Security at 67. So in this scenario, my Social Security check goes up from $3,000 to $3,125, which takes us to a 48% amount of the $6,500, comparable to the 46%. So really in this scenario, it basically increases your fixed income sources up to 82% of the 6,500 and takes your savings portfolio withdrawal and makes that go from 20% to 18%. So it's a 2% difference in this and this when you're looking at how much you'll have to withdraw out of your savings portfolio and how much you will actually get added to your My Social Security check. With that being said, if you do choose the 67, the con to that is now there's this gap from 65 to 67 that you still got to get to $6,500. So if you're going to withdraw at 67, this $3,000 is gone and will have to get added to this 1,323 down here. So about $4,500 a month will have to come out of your savings account over the first 2 years before you can start collecting Social Security, which will then decrease this from $4,500 to $1,163. So you'll be starting out with a little less in your portfolio, but you'll be guaranteed a bigger Social Security check for the rest of your life. And you'll also, at that point, have to withdraw less from your portfolio to get to that $6,500. Now, one of the other pros for withdrawing Social Security later, so if you went to 70, this would get you up to about, I think it's $3,400 on Social Security, 34, 35. This number here, if I was to pass away at age 67, let's say, and I was collecting Social Security at my age 65 rate, when I passed away, my wife would lose her Social Security and she would only have mine. So really what you're looking at, the survivor is going to get the higher of the two, not both of them. So the higher I can make mine, the more my wife's going to have if I pass away first. So if I went to 70 and took this out at 3,500, then if I passed away at 71, she'd have a check at $3,500 a month. She would lose the $1,537. The other scenario, if I did it at 65 and I died at 70, she'd have a check at $3,000 a month. So that's like $500 less. And she would, again, lose the $1,537. So the biggest pro for me on this is that it just gives my wife more of a comfortable feeling knowing that she has another fixed income source of $3,500 rather than $3,000 or $3,125 rather than $3,000. So that's the pros and cons there. And you also want to make sure you don't take too much money out that your portfolio runs out of money and can't really grow the way you want it to grow. But that's what we're looking at here. So again, these are based on 4% withdrawal rates off a $400,000 portfolio. So I'm very comfortable in the fact that because this is a given. So when we're looking at the fixed income sources, depending upon when I withdraw Social Security, will depend upon what my check's going to be. But other than that, these three sources here are given. This I'm going to get no matter what. When I pass away, my wife will get this, and then she'll also get the 50% of this right now is what this is figured out as. Again, there's lots of choices you can make on this pension plan when you choose. One of the choices is actually you can go 100%, so 100% survivor. So if I was to die, she would get 100% of this amount. But again, at that point, this amount would be lower at the start and would grow as the years years went by. So right now I've got it in 50%, 675 static number. Okay, I'm comfortable there. 6,500 is a very attainable amount that we can withdraw. If we went up to 5%, we can even make this 7,000. So we're looking good. So we know our income. Let's just say we know our income's at $6,500. That's the start. So with that being said, we know we can't spend more than $6,500. If we have to spend more than $6,500 as we go through our expenses during retirement per month, then we know we have to make some other changes. We either got to spend less or delay our retirement or get another job, side hustle or something, but we know we got to do that. So let's look at the first column here of the expenses. So I basically, where the solid black lines are, these are basically just dividers between, in general, some of the categories we've got here. So when you're looking at the top, the total of this is $6,320. Okay. This is under our $6,500 that we're going to have coming in for income. This here is what we are actually budgeting now, what we are actually spending now. And we are actually don't have this much, we don't have $6,500 to spend right now on our net pay at this point. If you throw my wife's Social Security disability in there, yes, we do. So we're basically right there, right on the edge of $6,500 income, $6,500 expenses. So we got the 6,320 expenses. So let's just go through those expenses real quick and just take a look at what some of them are. So this first one basically deals with the house. So the first three are the house in general. So it's your house mortgage, which is $1,164, your homeowner's insurance, which is $400, your property taxes, which is $346. Once you pay off your house, you've still got these two that you have to pay, and you lose the mortgage itself, which is basically the principal and interest payment. We will carry this mortgage into our retirement for about 5 years. That's where we're at now. Underneath there, then, we've got maintenance to the house and just things that you have to do to improve or keep up the house or some of your utility bills and stuff. So we've got our garbage disposal, $25 a month. Furnace and air maintenance, $21 a month. Gas bill, $75 a month. Electricity, sewer, water, $225 a month. Now, some of you are going to look at that and think, wow, that's high. And it is. Two of the reasons that's high. One is I've got a lot of electrical stuff in the house, including multiple freezers and refrigerators. And we also keep our thermostat at 70 degrees in the summer. We live in a state where the summers can go a month and a half to 2 months, anywhere between 85 and 100 degrees. A lot of times it's a full month in the 90 to 100 degree range. So this can be high if you're keeping your thermostat as low as we do. And we do. That's one of the luxuries we do afford ourselves. Sometimes I wonder if it's a smart move because that bill can really get high in the summer. This 225 is a breakdown of all 12 months. So in the summer months, imagine how high that'll be. But again, 12 months, you're looking at $225. Lawn irrigation sprinklers, $21 a month. Tree fertilization, $33 a month. Lawn mowing, $70 a month. Lawn mowing is something I could do when I do retire. This year I started paying someone to do it. I told my wife if I can't retire, at least I'm going to retire from mowing the lawn. So I hired someone to do it this year. So that's what we're looking at there. Underneath that, then the next category is basically our automobiles. Everything is in here except the payments of the automobiles themselves. So you got your vehicle registrations, both of these vehicles, one's a 2022, one's a 2024. So these are fairly high still. So we're looking at $64 a month registration fee. Fuel, we're looking at $100 a month. Now that could go higher depending upon how much we travel. The reason that is so low is that 2024 I just bought is a Ford Maverick pickup. It's a hybrid, so right now I'm getting anywhere between 42 and 50 miles to the gallon on that. So that's a big help in the fuel savings area. Again, I'm paying for it on the vehicle itself right now, but once that vehicle's paid off, the fuel savings will help a lot. OnStar, we do have that in one of our vehicles. That's $20 a month. Auto insurance right now for both of those is coming in at $155 a month. So, and then we'll look at, this really is food. And then I've got it in here, other things you would probably buy from a grocery store or a Walmart or something to that effect. So I got dining out, $100. That is not as much as I wish it was. I wish it could be, but that's where I got that set right now. That's about how much we might spend a little more than that right now on going out to eat, but I got that in at $100. Groceries, we got a $400 a month. That's not hard to spend on groceries either, even for two people. Laundry supplies, $20 a month. Toiletries, $50 a month. Cleaning supplies, $50 a month. And vitamins and supplements, $25 a month. So those are basically your food and your grocery store items. Then we've got hair and clothing I put together. Hair, $50 a month. Really what we're looking at there is shampoo and stuff I've got kind of coded into toiletries. Hair is really just my wife's haircut. My wife cuts my hair, so there's no cost there at all. So clothing and shoes, I got $150 a month entered in there. Next section is a Ring camera and identity theft protection we've got, which is $11 for the camera and $16 for the theft protection. Those are subscription items. Next is communications and computer software and such. So we got the internet that's running us about, right now we're paying $59 a month. I'm putting that as $100 just because I think it won't be long before it goes up. Cell phone, right now we're paying $100, not paying anything for that. Once I do get out of work, that will probably go up to $200 a month. Microsoft Office, I got that at $6 a month. Personal financial software, I got that as $10 a month. As you can see, I'm pretty detailed when I'm putting these in. Really, I was just trying to get an idea. Don't miss anything. What are you actually paying for here? So subscription services for entertainment, that's the next category. So we got music, which is $16 a month. Netflix, Prime, Peacock, Paramount, Xbox Game Pass, and YouTube. We don't subscribe to any live TV. We do everything streaming from these individual channels, and we knock one off, go to another one. And, at any given time, this could change, but the amount we pay is pretty much in general the same. You're probably looking at Xbox and thinking to yourself, 65 years old, why does he need Xbox Game Pass? Two reasons I keep that. One is that's a lot of the communication between my son and myself, and also now my son's boys and myself as well. So we'll get on Xbox with our headsets and we'll play the games, at least the games I can keep up with, and talk and have fun there. So I do keep that in the bills. YouTube, that's YouTube Premium. I got that about $15 a month. Pets. So pets, we got supplies about $100 a month, vet expenses $50, and pet insurance about $225. Yes, high expenses on pets. This is basically to keep my wife and I living together. So if something does happen to one of the pets, we have insurance that'll cover it, rather than me saying there ain't no way I'm paying for that and her saying there's no way I'm not. So that's why we have the pet insurance. The bottom three then, we have the car loans, the Blazer loan, $387, the Maverick loan, $441, and the SoFi loan, $1,104. Okay. SoFi loan is a personal loan that was of a sizable amount. So when you're looking at these and you're seeing the color coded, the yellow, which is a house mortgage, and the Maverick, those are both slated to carry over into retirement. The Maverick, we might be able to knock out of there before retirement. The mortgage, we will carry that into retirement. And unless something good happens on the money end of things, that'll hang around for about 5 years. This one will be cut off at retirement are pretty close. These three here, the pet insurance, the Blazer, the SoFi loan, will all be gone by the time retirement rolls around. So you're talking there, if you were just to take off, let's just do that real quick. So that takes that 6,300 down to 4,828. We only need 6,500. We can do something with that other, basically $1,200. And then if you also take off the Maverick loan, you're down to $4,600. Actually, $4,162, excuse me. So 65 minus the 4,162, $2,400 savings there as you go into retirement. So this is current. This is what it could be as we go into retirement. Okay? But for the time being, we're going to put all those back on there, and we've got a total of $6,320.83 that we are currently paying. All we need is $6,500. So right now, with just the money we have in our portfolio and the money we're going to be able to collect out of Social Security at 65 or Social Security at 67, we could retire now as long as we had our medical expenses covered. Which takes us to the next column. So this is basically figured out, okay, this is what we'll have to pay in retirement. And again, over here, this will go away. We know that. That's going to be gone. The pet insurance will be gone. That's out of there. The Blazer and the SoFi loan will be gone. That's out of there. These over here, the ones I got checked, are expenses that basically we could not pay and not have those things, or we could figure out ways to bring the costs down. So when you're looking at home improvements and maintenance, that's $200 a month. So that's $2,400 a year. We don't have to spend that much. That's one that can be, maybe lessened if need be. Ring camera is not a need. Tree fertilization is not a need. Lawn mowing I could actually start doing again. Roadside assistance is not a need. As a matter of fact, I have that one taken out because really I think on our car insurance we have that anyway. The only reason we're paying for roadside assistance right now is I keep my kids on our AAA policy or our AAA roadside assistance policy. So we keep that in effect. OnStar we don't need. Dining out is one we could go back and forth on. That's only $100. So maybe that, that's probably not a deal there. We'd probably at least spend $100 a month on dining out. $100 a month you can damn near do at McDonald's now. Clothing and shoes, we could work with that one a bit. Any of your subscription packages, those are not a do or die situation. You could take those out. Pet insurance, I've already taken out. Identity theft protection, you could take that out. So that would take us down to $4,435 if you took those out right there. So really, when you're looking at here, this is with it, and eventually I expect these to go and this one to go as well. So let's just say, for instance, this went. You're down to $4,523. So that's $2,000 less than your $6,500. What I did include in this is Medicare, Medigap, and drug policy, which is a given you're going to need this. And that I got in as $800 a month for the both of us. And then I've got taxes in as well, and that's about $445 a month. And that gives us a total of $4,523. Again, let's put the pet stuff and the Blazer or the Maverick stuff back in. And that gives us $5,100 $14. So again, you're talking $1,400 less than the $6,500. Even if we do pay for everything that's on this list, everything else, this is everything. So there should be nothing else we have to pay for. So that's telling me right now, this should be no problem. And with $1,500, we should be able to, I don't know, kick that money back for more travel or things like that. Because the things you look at here that we're probably going to want to do more of is like dining out. I'm looking at that. Travel, I'm looking at that. What do I got travel set as? Where is that? $250. That's a month. So that might be able to give you 2 vacations a year. Maybe if you double that, you get 3 or 4 vacations a year. That'd be nice. But expenses you can work with. But the main key here was, can I keep this lower than $6,500? Well, just by putting down what we currently are spending, we're already lower than $6,500. So that shouldn't be an issue, because it shouldn't be an issue getting $6,500 to $7,000 a month in spending income. So that makes me feel really good and comfortable about how we're going into this. Now, up here is your taxes, and I calculated this out. At $6,500, if we wanted $6,500 total spending, we would actually have to get $7,000. That means we'd have to withdraw more out of our savings portfolio, and that's $7,000 after you paid your taxes would end up in that $6,500 number that you could actually, spend. Again, down here, I have put that in here. So we're still at $5,100, and we're using the $6,500 model. So taxes aren't too bad. So you're looking at state taxes of $103, federal taxes of $342. Again, this is taxable income. And I'm not sure if I've got any new tax incentives or tax changes and adjustments nailed into this. I kind of did it really quick. So that 6%, Social Security tax adjustment they got going, which right now I'm not too sure where that is exactly. That may not be in here either. So this could even be better. The other big cost, and this is the one that's always scared me, is Medicare policy and how that's going to work. So the closest I can come to it right now is we have Medicare Part A. Again, these you got to think of, this is per person. So when you're thinking medical, you can't think in family units anymore. You got to think in individual units, because when you're in Medicare and that portion of it, they're looking at persons individually. So Medicare is going to be nothing for either one of us. Medicare Part B, that'll be $174 a piece. So that leaves it at $349 for both of us a month. This, these are guesstimates, I guess is what you could say, but they're research guesstimates. Medicare Plan G, from what I gather, is the best Medigap plan you can get. So really what I was looking for my wife and I was something that would give me a out-of-pocket amount, or an amount I knew would be the maximum amount I would have to pay for medical expenses within a year before something would kick in and pay for everything beyond that. Medigap Plan G was the best I could do there. It is pretty good. It will even pay your co-payments from Part B and Part A and things like that. So this should take care of a lot of expenses that don't get covered on Part A and Part B. At least that's my hope, and that's what I'm leaning for. As we get closer to having to sign up for these, I will definitely be doing more research, and we'll report back on that as well. But these three together should be a lot of help in giving us very minimal medical costs besides the premium for these. Now, on a Medigap plan, there is a time limit there. So when you are eligible to sign up for a Medicare plan if you don't do it in a certain amount of time and then want to do it later. They will be able to hold you for pre-existing conditions, and they'll be able to deny you and raise your rates over and above the rates they charge if you sign up right when you get eligible, and they won't be able to deny you because of pre-existing conditions if you sign up right when you become eligible. So the big thing for us, my wife and I, is to go in here and sign up as soon as we can and get that taken care of. We'll both be on this, and hopefully that'll cover everything we need throughout our retirement. Part D drug plan, none of this covers prescription drugs. Part D does. Again, the way I understand this is there is different plans, and different plans will cover different prescription drugs, different formulas of prescription drugs, and different pharmacies will also cover different brands and different formulas. So it sounds to me as if when you're signing up for your drug plan, you want to make sure you get a drug plan that is covering the drugs you are currently taking. And also, if you have any insight to what may come up as far as a drug you may need in the future, then you'll also want to see if you can find a plan that might carry those. There is now a $2,000 deductible or out-of-pocket expense on the Part D drug plan now. So once you hit that $2,000, you shouldn't have to pay anything else above and beyond that. Again, I'm assuming that's per person. You're going to have to double check it. But again, that's nice to know that you have something that, okay, that $2,000 is hit. Now they're going to take care of everything else. Now I have read someplace where that doesn't cover everything. So you still got to be careful. Sometimes if you have that $2,000, out of pocket, and it's a drug that your plan may not cover, you still may end up covering some of it or all of it. Just got to be careful on that. Again, the estimated total, again, is $350 a month per person or $700 a month per couple. I've got us coming in at $800 a month over here, still looking at $5,100 as expenses, having $6,500 in income. So that looks great. There is nothing else I think I need to put on here that we'll need to be certain to cover in expenses. So everything looks good. If we can get that $400,000 that we're looking at when we're talking these out. So these are, remember, this savings portfolio here, this income is based off a 4% withdrawal of $400,000. If we can get that up to $500,000, which I think we can, because I'm still contributing to my IRA, we already have more than $400,000 in our account. I believe it's like $430 right now. So we'll get that up to $500,000, and then the 4% will actually be more than the 1323 or the 1163. Basically, though, we'll just have this will either grow faster, we'll be able to withdraw a little bit more percentage-wise or get a little bit more for the percentage we're drawing. I'm not necessarily looking at this from we want to draw a 4% withdrawal from now for the rest of our lives. I'm looking at it as this is what I want for spending. What's it going to take me? How much am I going to have to withdraw to get to this and not run out of money before 85, 90 years old? This gets me there. It gets me there well within that 85, 90 year range. We'll still have money in our retirement portfolio when we die if we stick to the $6,500 and the expenses line up like we're looking at now. Another thing I want you to keep in mind, because I'm not a financial advisor. I am your ordinary person sitting down, researching this stuff myself, trying to make sure I got solid footing and trying to make sure I know what's going on and I know the ins and outs of how this retirement process works. I will still go to a financial advisor and do have a financial advisor right now that's telling me where to put my money. But when it comes down to it, when we look at how to get the least amount of tax liability, when we look at what order to withdraw this money from in the savings portfolio. So like I said, this is a 401k for me, a 401k for my wife. It's an IRA for myself. Which of those parts of the portfolio should I withdraw from first to keep our tax liability the lowest? So I'll use a financial advisor to figure things out like that. I just kind of look at the simple part of it. I mean, I know that with money, people make it difficult sometimes. You've got to spend less than you make. Here, basically what we did was this. I know I can get $6,500 unless there's a total market collapse, which wouldn't surprise me either. But unless there is a total market collapse, then there should be no problem getting that $6,500 plus for spending needs as we move through retirement. My expenses are telling me right now, I don't even need the $6,500 close, but I don't need the whole 65. I'm 180 over. And then when I do retire, I am $1,500 over of what I need. And that's without, let's put this back in. Let's put that back in. So 6278, that's with my house. So the 65 still has that. I will be getting rid of this, and this though. So let's just say, I'm going to say these are a given. Let's just go here, here, and here. So that's 5687. So that's about $800 above I am already. Once I get rid of that house, 4523, excuse me, we better know. 4523 after we take off the house. $2,000 less than what we started needing. Our portfolio should be growing. Expenses should not go up, hopefully. And we should be set to enjoy our retirement. Folks, thanks for joining me. If there's any questions you have out of this, let me know. If there's anything you saw in here that you don't agree with, let me know. Because, I'll take anybody's help for sure when we go over this. Really, what I'm trying to do here is build a community around people such as myself, and I know there's got to be a lot of them that are getting into that 65 range where they want to retire, 62, 67, 65, and also have that classic $500,000 portfolio around that number, whether it's 400,000 to 600,000. Not the millions they're telling you need, but enough to make a difference in retirement. So I hope to see you on my next videos. Do subscribe to this video. I do appreciate it. And hope I wasn't too long-winded here, but I did want to go through in detail, like I said I would, my income and expenses. Next video, we'll get into something else. Thanks, folks.